Why, hello to all you out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to another discussion in the family. These are the spaces where we're gathering to sort of talk about all of the insider stuff that is unabashedly Christian. So certainly from my vantage point, the different places of media that have touched me over my maturing process throughout the years, whether those are songs or movies or books or anything kind of in the arts and culture realm. Today I have another song for you. Actually, it's going to be two songs. You're going to get two for the price of one, but I'll explain why in a minute. I want to introduce you, if you have never met or heard from her before, an artist known as Jennifer Knapp. When I was in college, Ms. Knapp put out a CD. It was her first CD, and it was entitled Kansas. And I first heard one of her songs on the radio, I think Christian radio. I was big into Christian radio back then. And it was a song called Romans. And it was literally about her experience trying to read through and study the book of Romans. And I just thought it was funny, serious, honest, like brutally honest about the struggles that we have when we try and read scripture, particularly the Apostle Paul, and getting puffed up and sort of drifting off course and having this constant wrestling of understanding but not living but misunderstanding our walk of faith. And I thought she did such a great job at that. It spoke to me at such a point in my life that I went out and bought her album. Now, during these years for me, what I found is I was in a very literalist tradition that was very into scripture, but it was very didactic. So it was, there are things to learn and there are tools that you use to study scripture and to understand and to grow, and a lot of black and white. But what really fed my soul in those years were people who were poets and artists. People who didn't speak necessarily in black and white terms, but they allowed beauty and emotion to sort of come out. They had a kind of brutal honesty about them. And that there's something about this liminal space in the margins when we are in gray areas where there are elements of black and there are elements of white, but there's a lot of figuring out how to navigate that, how to walk that path. And maybe it doesn't look the same for each person. Maybe it doesn't look the same in each situation. And people who can sort of wrestle with that and wrestle with it openly, my soul just gravitated to. So Jennifer Knapp was one of those artists. Now, I get in this trend where I get into a particular artist and a particular style, and I like absorb their stuff for a period, and then by the time they put out another album or their career continues to evolve, chances are I've moved on. And this is no disrespect to Jennifer Knapp, but I certainly have no recent knowledge of what she is or isn't working on anymore. Maybe you know, feel free to drop that in the comment section below. But what I would like to introduce you to is a pair of songs that she put out on that album, Kansas. The song that I really wanted to introduce you to is a very simple, short song called Faithful to Me. She actually uses it as the prelude to her album. But what's interesting about it is it's really just a verse. It's like a single verse. And she uses no music. It's just her voice. And she sort of lays out the theme and the trajectory of her album, which is struggling with the idols that we make in our life and how much dissatisfaction those actually bring. and having an honest admission to God that in reality, He's the only one who's ever been faithful to us. But because it's so short and because it doesn't feature any of her instrumentation, I felt like I shouldn't just leave you with that one. And I didn't want to necessarily move off of that one. So I'm going to include that, her Prelude, Faithful to Me, in the link, or as a link in the description below. But I'm also going to put one of the full-length songs that she sings on that album. The song that I picked for you is called Martyrs and Thieves. Her style of music is more what I would call folk rock. A lot of acoustic guitar, but she'll bring some other instruments in, sometimes some electric instruments, sometimes some drums. This song features some strings rather heavily in the background. And again, she seems to be wrestling through this idea from 1 John of walking in the light. And the overall gist of the song, as I remember it, is really how we are all drawn to darkness, and there is a comfort in remaining in the darkness. But if you want to walk in the light as Christ is in the light, it'll expose a lot of things. But if you realize the benefits and the blessing of that, you will lose all of your fears, lose your interest and attachment to the darkness, and keep being drawn more and more into the light. And that is the walk of faith. That is this process of sanctification in our lives. That song will also be linked in the description below. So give both of those a listen. Tell me what you think. Drop a comment either online, or if you see me in person, feel free to tell me in person what you thought. And I look forward to taking this journey further with you. So until the next video, when we talk about more things in the family, have a blessed day.